Hey guys, so today we're going to go over how you can create a split screen on your footage using Adobe Premiere Pro, and then I'll also show you how you can do it in After Effects as well. So if I come over here and just select my footage and drag it over onto the new item icon, it will create a sequence for me. You can just rename this sequence by hitting enter, just typing whatever I want. I'm going to call this split screen. So I have my footage in my timeline. Now, a quick way you can do this is if you go along here next to project, you've got these two arrows. I can click that to go to the drop down menu, select effects, and under effects, I've already typed it in, but all you would do is just type into the search bar crop under the folder, transform, and drag that effect crop over onto my timeline. Now here, this is just a simple effect, and all that it does is if I go into my effect controls here, and I see that effect is now active in my effect controls, I can just drag over from the left percentage and drag over from the right percentage, and it's just going to crop the footage. So if I was to select, let's say, the right and type in 50, that'll crop it halfway exactly. Now the only problem is now, let's say, well, this isn't really what I want to see the woman. If I went up to motion and dragged it along to the left, it's cropped the footage, so that's not going to work. So if I hit undo, put this back to 0, what I could do is go along to my position and drag down on the X position to bring the subject over to the left. But now I'm not going to be able just to crop 50%, because it's going to crop like that. It's not going to crop from the end of your video here, it's going to crop from the end of the footage, from the right side of the footage. So hit that back to 0. Now what you can do to work around this, if you do want to get a perfect split screen, is just go to File, New, Color Matte, and we want half the width, so that would be 1920. So here in your video settings, when you create a color matte, it will prompt you to select your dimensions and your frame rate. So I've just halved the width from 3840 to 1920. We hit OK, pick a color, and now it's over here in my project. Now if I drag that over on top of my footage, it's centered it. Now what I can do is if I drag this over to the right and line it up, now really what you can do is just plus 960, so I know that's going to be 2880. So I'll just put in 80 there. Now it's going to be perfect. If I drop the opacity, so in my effect controls here I have opacity as an effect, and if I just drag that down, I can see through it now. And what that allows me to do is just drag over, and I can see where I'm going to need to crop this to. So I've framed the subject how I want. Now I can go to my crop effect and pull down on the right and just line it up exactly where I see that red block finishes. So 17 was a little bit too much. Now if you want to be really precise with this, you can go down to this drop down menu here, select zoom level, and we could go to 150%, and now I can really see what I'm doing here. So if I was to go 16.8, okay, 16.7, now that's looking pretty much spot on. So I can hit my drop down menu for select zoom level and go back to fit. And now I can either delete this if I don't want it anymore, or what I sometimes do if I may want to go back and use this again, just select it and hit Command Shift E and it's disabled, which can be a really useful tool if you want to keep things on the timeline but you just want to bring them up when you need them. So now let's say I want to add something into the other side. So what I would do is, if I select this footage and just bring it up to the track above, and I select my next piece of footage and just drag it onto the video track beneath, now I can just drag and position and scale this next piece of footage how I like it, and it will always be cropped 50-50. So there you go. We've created a split screen effect in Premiere. Now, a little quick bonus, I'll show you how you can also do this using dynamic linking in Adobe After Effects. And personally, I find this way to be a little quicker and a little more straightforward. So let's delete this sequence and we'll start from the beginning. So I'll do the same thing, drag my footage over here, and we're back to how we were. Okay, so let's say I want to do this in After Effects using dynamic linking. So the first thing I'll do is right click on the footage, go to replace with After Effects composition. And that will bring it up here in After Effects. And what I'm seeing here and whatever I do here will now reflect exactly in Premiere Pro. So I'm just going to hit Command Y, and that's going to bring up my option to create a new solid. And here under size, we're just gonna do exactly what we did in Premiere. It was like creating the color map. And under width, we're just gonna hit 1920. Hit OK. That layers that straight onto my video. And if I select this solid and hit Y, it'll bring up the pan behind tool. And what I can do with that is move the anchor point. So if I hold Command and drag along, you see it's snapping to this x-axis until it will snap perfectly to that left anchor point. And then I let go. Now my anchor point is snapped perfectly to the left. So now if I was to drag the x-axis down, it'll move. But what's really handy in After Effects is I don't have to work out the math. If I know how many pixels it needs to move to the left, I can simply, in my position properties here, select the X position, hit -960, and it snaps perfectly to the left. So now I can use a track matte using this solid. So how I can do that is if I go to the footage and go here to track matte. Now if track matte's not showing up, you can go down to this toggle switches and modes, because it may be this that you're seeing. And if it is, then you just go down to this button here, toggle switches / modes, click that and you'll see the track matte option. Here, if I go to my drop down menu and select the dark magenta solid, now it's using that solid as a matte. So basically it's revealing only what comes into the frame of that solid. So if I drag underneath, it's like a little window. She's gone, she's here. So now that this is done in After Effects, I can just come back to Premiere and it's done here. And then I can just drag this split screen up one track and bring in my other piece of footage, and automatically it's just kind of sliding in underneath. So that's two ways that you can create a split screen using Adobe Premiere Pro and also using dynamic linking in After Effects. If you like this video, hit the subscribe and I'll see you next time.